Day 2 of Evolutionary EmpowHERment, the place to be heard, be seen, and be truly you. It is my honor to bring us today's panel of experts. I'm so excited. And I just want to start today by just talking about what we're really doing today, like what we're really getting to at this point in humanity, and why today's topic is so important. We're at the point in our modernization where we have, I think we can all agree, no matter whether we believe climate change is real or not, whether we believe that modernization is a good thing or not, whether we believe whatever agendas, whatever polarities, whatever kind of social issues are being kind of armored and propagandized out there, what I think we can all agree on is, if you visit any city, is the toxicity, is the pollution, is how we are exhausting Mother Nature, how we as humanity may get to a point, and it may be very soon, where we actually lead ourselves into extinction. So in this drive for modernization, we are getting to this point where we're choking ourselves. And there have been many of the old ways, much of the ancient wisdom that is experiencing a heyday right now. Has anyone, you can raise your hands, has anyone experienced that, right? That there's this, yeah, and Tara's like, Leola's like, yeah, there's this heyday of ancient wisdom that is coming back. We look at water, I love to use this as an example. Water always seeks to reconstitute itself. So if you drink mineral depleted water, what does it do? And this may be new to you, but it pulls the minerals from your teeth and bones. It always seeks to reconstitute itself. And as we went down this very driven, industrial revolution path in modern history, we have enjoyed many benefits of that. And many comforts, a lot of security that comes with that. And we are at a point where we are imbalanced. And whether, no matter what agenda you know to be true, what you do know to be true is that we're out of balance, that this planet is out of balance. And so like water with minerals, it's trying to reconstitute itself. It's trying to rebalance itself. And so this is what is really, I have tingles. Like, this is what is crucial now, is to decide, what is this? How are we going to walk through this shift that's coming? Whether we believe it's coming or not, how are we going to shift and come into balance, where we celebrate both the gifts of the divine masculine with the gifts of the divine feminine? And I know that you feel this call and you feel this pull, especially if you are predominantly feminine, or you are your feminine being. You feel this within you, not just as a global issue, but microcosmically as you on an individual level within you. So I am so honored and delighted to talk on this topic today, and to bring the experts today that I'll be bringing up. And what, the wisdom that's going to be shared today, I'm really excited for. And just to say, for those who want to do, rather than just, staying in the mind, the masculine, if you want to come into the divine feminine, I'm going to be leading my goddess movement method right after this session in the inner circle. So if you'd like to join the inner circle, we stay for an hour after each panel. You're welcome to do that, and the link will be dropped by my incredible assistant Camille in the chat for you. You can tap on that and you'll get immediate access, that you can join today's goddess movement method session right after this one. Thank you, Camille. Without further ado, it is my honor, it is my privilege to call forth our panel of experts today to talk on ancient wisdoms that are yearning to be reconstituted, rebalanced into harmony into today's world. So I'm so excited to to bring up Shelley and Leola and Jonita, my dear sisters. I'll just ask Camille to pin them, please. Hey, Leola, so good to see you. I just saw you right there. And I'm going to let you know a little bit about these speakers here today. But first and foremost, I just want to say hello. How are you doing today? There we go. I'm just asking you to unmute right there.
Feels so good to be here. Thank you so much. Excited to unravel what's deeply percolating and just have a juicy conversation.
Thank you so much. Hi, Shelley. How are you today?
I am doing wonderful. It's great to be with all of these beautiful faces.
Absolutely. Jonita, so lovely to be with you.
Yes, it's such a pleasure to be here and see so many women and all of us gathered here. I'm excited to see what's gonna be co-created.
Yes, absolutely. And that is the word, and that is divinely feminine. And we'll talk more about that. Thank you for those who are participating in the chat. If you see me looking up here, I have the chat right here. So if you have questions for these experts as we go through this session, pop them in the chat. I'll be fielding some of those and asking your questions right here, right now. But first of all, let me introduce our experts. So Shelley Kerr, I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly. How do you pronounce it, Shelley?
Care.
Care.
Yes,
Oh, I love that.
You did it.
She's worked with thousands of people around the world over the past 20 years, helping them achieve greater peace and happiness in their lives. Shelley enjoys creating content to help readers and students remember their soul histories and past lives. She created the groundbreaking genealogical regression based on her award-winning international seller, Heal Your Ancestors to Heal Your Life, to help seekers resolve inherited ancestral trauma. She believes we all have the power to rewrite our stories and create the life of our dreams. Thank you for being here. Jonita D'souza is a self-leadership mentor for women, a feminine lifestylist and creatress of the Feminine Empress Codes. She assists modern-day busy women who struggle with burnout, body love, and authentic expression to reconnect with their feminine and sensual energy using the ancient feminine Taoist Tantric somatic arts so that they can create a lifestyle that is fulfilling, nurturing, and pleasurable. Jonita is a certified life coach, NLP practitioner, master hypnotherapist, and combines the teachings of Indian feminine mysticism and shamanism in her work. Thank you for being here. And Leola Antara is a renowned author, guide, and lineage keeper of the ancient tantric alchemical healing arts. She's the creator of Kundalini dance, an embodied alchemical healing practice that she has been teaching for over 30 years. Through her school, the Tantric Rose Mystery School, Leola offers priestess initiation training programs and retreats, as well as workshops in sacred sexuality, compassionate relating, emotional alchemy, sacred union, Egyptian high tantric alchemy, and shamanic healing arts. She has a unique gift for activating the Shakti, the divine feminine energy in both men and women, helping them experience radical aliveness and heightened states of consciousness. So I did a survey of our audience coming in, and I received 143 responses. I went through each one of those, and I noticed that there were common themes. And the common theme was the yearning to be in sisterhood and not feel like their unique desires are on the outskirts of society, that they're alone in that, and also the desire for strong feminine role models. And I think this is something that is so lacking in modern society, is having those strong feminine role models. The other thing that was really clear was the desire to hear stories, empowering stories, in order to co-create the belief in themselves. And so with that, I'm starting each session with this question, which is, what is your hero's journey that led you into bringing forth the ancient wisdom that you bring forth. So I'm going to start with Shelley. Shelley, what is your hero's story?
Yeah, that's the questions and the feelings of the audience are really important right now. So for myself, I'm a past life regressionist. So I was introduced to the modality in childhood after my mother read a book on that topic. She met the author and the subject of a very famous book called The Search for Bridie Murphy that was put out many, many years ago. She brought the book home when I was a little kid, and we talked about reincarnation at the family dinner table, which I don't know what normal people were talking about, but that was what we were doing. And so it was in my soul from that moment. And then as an adult, I had a dear friend who was killed in a hiking accident on a weekend that I could not go on this hiking trip. And so I saw his spirit in a window and began experiencing him following me around. The instances stopped, and then many years later, it started up again. And somebody said, well, maybe you should have a past life regression, because maybe there is some unfinished business between you and this other person. And so I was very fascinated by that. I went to the session and I discovered that we had known each other in many lifetimes, always where he had had an untimely death and left me behind. And so the session, just observing this problem that I had from a totally different perspective than what I could have received from three-dimensional reality, it immediately lifted this burden off. I recognized that, we're all souls. Everybody's got their journey. We all have our things that we're coming here to learn and do. And it helped me so dramatically, just like that. And I said, wow, I need to start helping other people do that. And so I began training, and unbelievably, it's been over 20 years now, and I'm still going. I still love it. And so my later content then is really, after doing this so long, just realizing that I feel like, just as Rose said earlier, we all have an inner yearning and a desire to be validated, to know that what we are doing here matters, that we have a purpose, and each person has a purpose. Each person is a unique expression of divine creation. And so the things that I'm developing now in books and things, guided imagery journeys to help people get in touch with their soul essence, their purpose, and that can be done really through past lives. And the other movement that's becoming a global sensation right now is this calling, again, that all of us, I think, are feeling right now, to honor our ancestors. That is not simply something from obscure times, but globally, we're all being called to recognize our forebears, our ancestors, and embody those gifts and talents that they had and the things that they're calling us to, of which I believe this quest for this divine feminine energy that we are seeking right now is really coming from the calling of our own souls, as well as a calling from our ancestors. So I'm happy to be here. I think this is an amazing gathering, and I thank you so much, Rose.
Thank you, Shelley. I have follow-up questions, but I will come back to those. I want to ask the same question to Jonita. What was your hero's journey? And it actually came up yesterday, and I love reclaiming the word hero. Hero originally was a Japanese woman, and she created the archetype of the hero. So I love reclaiming the word hero as feminine. I know in modern culture, we use hero to represent the masculine and heroine to represent the feminine. So interchangeable, of course. But what is your hero's journey that led you into the work that you're doing now? Because it's no easy path, is it?
No, not at all. It's not easy, and it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be one of the most fulfilling things that we can experience for ourselves. I'm just curious to hear my volume. It's echoing on my end.
You sound perfect to me.
Yeah, great. All right. So my hero's journey. I was born in India. And I was born and raised in India. I spent the first 20 years of my life in India. And at the time, so we're talking the 80s and the 90s, I was very privileged and blessed to be born in a family that encouraged young girls to become independent. And one of the things that we were taught by my family, my parents, were that in order to be an independent woman in this tight patriarchal society, you've got to be financially successful. So I somehow just took that so seriously and held on to it. And I thought that in order for me to be financially successful, I need to study and I need to get a job and all of that. And then one day I will be independent. And so I did that. I studied really hard. And by the age of 21, I was in a very good corporate job. I became an IT engineer. and there's when my illusion of independence shattered. I realized that I was in this beautiful environment. I was already making good salary for my age, and I was financially happy, but I wasn't feeling the independence inside of me. I felt that this wasn't it. I was still not able to feel myself as an expressing woman, young woman. So I was really confused. I also was extremely introvert. So I found myself really torn in those men-dominated boardroom meetings where I had to really, talk loud to allow myself to be heard or seen or taken seriously. I was young. So I developed a mask around me. Became like a tomboy kind of person to portray that, yes, I can do it, I can be in your world and I can feel and express myself. But inside of me, I was really confused. And on the other side, growing up, we also had the influence of the Western world, MTV and all of that. And I used to watch those Hollywood movies. And for some reason, I thought that women in the West are free. They can express themselves more freely. They can wear whatever they want. They can walk safely in the streets, which was not possible or convenient for me at the time being in India. And so I somehow thought that maybe going to the West will finally give me the independence. And I had an opportunity to move to London with my job. So I did that. And yes, I did feel free for the first 6 months. And eventually I found myself caught up in this race of looking good and doing the good and beautiful to be accepted in social circles and to be accepted in the team as an important, valuable person. So I was really conflicted. I gathered women from my workplace, and what I noticed is that, yes, these women seem to be free, but inside of them, everyone is efforting to be accepted. And there was something missing, which I just could not pinpoint at that age. So I was in a very confused state at that time. And I was tired of doing the sexy, doing the beautiful, and I did not certainly feel independent there. So I was lost, seeking what it really meant to be a woman at that age, and how should I blossom into a woman, because everything felt hollow. So I soon went into, binge drinking, and in that same time, my father passed away. So I went into a very deep depression period. I did not know what to do to bring myself out of it. And what happened is, at the same time, my body began to collapse. So my body began to show reactions to everything that I was eating, and it was covered in severe psoriasis. And I couldn't find any solution. I was on high steroids, and literally at the age of 24, I felt like lost, failure, and angry, very angry at God, because I have been always asking, but I did not get my answer yet. And I didn't want to go to the East. I didn't want to go to the West. I didn't want to live in this world. So all those ideas were shattering. And that was a pivotal moment for me, because that's when I found a Facebook ad that I just decided to give a go to. It was an ad about find your essence as a woman, and it was only £10 ticket. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna go to this circle happening in London, and I'm gonna sit by this door to see what all this woo-woo thing is all about. I was also, forgot to mention, I grew up in a very strict Christian family. Even though I was among Hindu traditions, I grew up as a very strict Christian. So I went there and I sat by the door, and the woman there, the teacher there, she said something that really hit me hard. She said that the most beautiful and important gift you can give to someone is to show them their essence. And that made me fall apart inside, because I just did not understand this word. I just did not understand what my essence was, or what is, or how to go about it. So I started to cry and cry. And for the very first time, I felt held by women there. I felt held by women there who did not tell me, it's okay, don't cry, it'll be all right. Instead, they said to me, we are there, we see you, we feel you. And I was able to literally cry and be a total mess. I ended up attending the entire time the circle there, and in a pool of tears, held by women. And that was one of the pivotal moments which made me feel that, okay, this is a world that I am not aware of, and I want to know more. And hence I started learning more about my essence, the divine feminine essence. And it all eventually led to me practicing this with my girlfriends in London. And there was this very interesting moment where my teacher said at that time that, why don't you set up a meetup group? And when you want to practice, you might meet other women who want to practice, and you can gather in your living room. So I did that. So I was looking for 3 or 4 other women to come together and just practice some of the things I was learning about myself, about meditation, energy practices, womb pulsing and breathing and all of that. So I put up the meetup group called Exploring Femininity, because that's what I was doing. And suddenly there were like over 600 women joining in like 4 or 5 days. And I freaked out. I was like, what am I supposed to do? I just needed 2 or 3 other women to work with me and play with me. And so soon, eventually, it became clear that I don't have to fully heal and discover myself to begin this journey, and I can be learning and growing, and that's how it began, just through learning and practicing.
I love what you highlighted there is what all gurus say, is there is no end point. There's no enlightened end, point, that it is a continual journey, and that it's okay to be in the learning, and that really is being in the feminine, which is so beautiful. Thank you so much. I think what I really heard in your explanation is so many people's story. For example, has anyone experienced that hollow feeling that Jonita expressed, right? Yes, thank you, Shelley, right? Yeah, and Leola, like that hollow feeling, that emptiness, that there's something missing, but I don't know what it is, because I have the external, the masculine ideals of success, and so I really don't know what those things are. So thank you for so beautifully sharing the experience that just allows people to say, okay, there's nothing wrong with me. This isn't something that is just kind of wrong with me as an individual, but this is a common experience as we are driving towards the masculine ideals of success, especially represented by the pursuit of, okay, I'll be independent if I can make money, right? So interesting. I did hear that you're a little quiet, so I don't know if you can be a little closer to your microphone, but there we go. Ooh, that's worse. Okay. But I put some transcriptions on so everybody can hear you or see what you're saying. Leola, so I'm so curious. I got to listen to your audio, which I was just so, oh my goodness, I felt like I traveled with you. What is your hero's journey? Meaning, what was the journey that led you to step forwards in the work that you're doing now?
Yeah, so I always return to the period where I was 23 years old. That's going back 35 years now. And I was blessed to fall in love with a soulmate. And through our meeting, through our union, we started to just wake each other's spiritual curiosity. And actually, the first time we made love, I had a Kundalini activation where my sexual energy raised up through my central channel and out through my crown chakra. And I didn't really even know what a crown chakra was, or I hadn't read anything about tantric sexuality, but my just having a very deep opening with a soulmate, it was like we helped each other activate our remembrance. And as 2 years into our relationship, we were exploring spirituality, and we ended up going on a journey to the central Western Desert in Australia. I'm Australian, and we went to a sacred power spot in the middle of the desert, which I since came to learn that this is where the Kadaichi shaman go to receive their guiding vision, to receive their call, their hero's call. And so without going into too many details, I was really searching for my purpose at the time. I was like, very, very clearly aware of, the fact that humanity was, we're in a decline cycle, that we were abusing our resources and all those things that we're aware of. And I was like, how can I serve humanity? How can I serve the planet? And so my partner at the time and we did a ceremony at this ancient Aboriginal power site. And while we were there, we went into a ceremony. It was like 6:30 a.m. in the morning at dawn as the sun was rising. And we began to pray and to chant. And he was a drummer, and, we're using the drum and using our breath. I was very much into exploring breath at the time, and repetitive breath, and exploring, because my Kundalini channel had opened, I was already exploring how to run the breath through my central vertical channel, which I've found to be an incredible tool, and for spiritual awakening and activating the highest centers. And so I went into a sort of a third eye opening, a visioning, and was shown this massive rainbow serpent, because I was in Aboriginal territory. The Australian Aboriginals work a lot with that kind of that energy. The rainbow serpent is in their iconography, but I'd never considered it, but I saw it. And in this vision, I was told that the serpent energy of the earth was awakening, and that my role was to connect people to the earth, to connect people back into the Kundalini energy of the earth, that the earth was going to rebirth into a star, and that it will be a great time of great purification on the planet, and that my role was to support people to clear the chakras. So that's how Kundalini dance got born. And I hadn't come across any spiritual practices or lineages at the time. I mean, we're going back 35 years ago. There wasn't, the priestess movement, the womb movement, the feminine rising movement, the Shakti activation movement. It hadn't begun. And little did I know that actually what I was doing was beginning a relationship to the earth as the goddess, as the divine feminine, and opening my body to her. That was what opened me. I didn't have an external teacher, but I had this guidance that just kept me exploring through the dance, because my beloved was a drummer. He was a percussionist. And so through the dance, through the breath, and I began, to open up to activating the earth energy, and to opening up to the earth energy, and to awakening the divine feminine within me. And that then began my womb starting to activate, and a lot of my soul memories came online. A lot of my past life memories of being in temples and going back to ancient Egypt, going back to Atlantis, and even originally, and kind of seeing the trajectory that the art of working with the earth, with the dragon energies of the earth, this is part of the medicine that I share, and this is part of that what the Magdalenes do. We bring people into connection to that serpentine, masculine, feminine, entwined energy that lights up, the energy body that switches on and activates the higher consciousness. But what it also does is brings us into contact with the dark feminine. It brings us into contact with having to face, the shadow, and having to feel, those aspects of the self that are still in fear, or that are still holding on to limiting beliefs or programs, or still holding protections or wounds. So the work, began holding these containers for very deep openings. And this is where, my work, my somatic work comes in, presencing through the layers and being present with what is, and all the deep work of just being very compassionate to self and to everything that arises. So it's been a long journey to get here. And what I've come to understand is what I'm enacting is actually the Holy Grail rites. And these were rites that the empire outlawed, and the Roman Empire outlawed, and anybody practicing or holding, these initiatory offerings have been persecuted. And this is beyond the Inquisition. This is going back into, as early as just around the 1st century. So it's a reclamation of the ancient ways. And this is not just for women. This is for men, because I believe that when men also can return to embodying the goddess, and this is what the Grail Mysteries was. This is what, the feminine would, the priestess, the Magdalene, would initiate or bring a man, particularly through a special initiatory rite, often done during the solstice time, the winter solstice, where a man is more susceptible to facing the dark night of his deeper and his darker emotions. And he would have to face the dragon and slay the dragons, of which the Catholic Church appropriated the symbology and made it St. George slaying the dragons, but it's actually slaying the inner dragons, the inner shadows, the inner demons. And through that, birthing those feminine qualities, that have been diminished in our culture: compassion, vulnerability, emotional honesty, that I truly believe that if both men and women and these qualities of the deep feminine can come back to balance, we will, things will start to really shift. And this includes then, sacred union, beloved relationships, soulmate relationships, all of which, have also suffered greatly through this time of the patriarchy. So yeah, that's kind of where I've been, how I've been journeying, and it's been very slow, as Shelley's speaking about the past life memories, it's been a slow reclamation. And this is what I believe the Kundalini does, it brings the old initiations that the soul has been through online. So yeah, so
Ah, beautiful. Well, that perfectly sets me up, Leola. Thank you so much for my next question. And what I really loved as visualization that just came in is of in rather than George and the dragon, right, the appropriated story being like external, that kind of, you know, outward going and slaying the dragon. I loved how you really, really gave that visualization that it's internal, that it's going into the shadow within, and that is divinely feminine. So I think that's just such a beautiful clarification. Thank you, especially for me, for bringing that forth. I really enjoyed that. And
yeah, and
yeah,
just to clarify, the
yeah,
dragon is Kundalini energy, it's Shakti.
yeah.
So that's how we face it. And how we can activate that is through returning to the earth deeply.
Mm-hmm. It's so and interesting. I'll just ask there because if we look at Christianity and the story of the snake, right, and then we see the symbology of the intertwining snakes in the medical system, is that one and the same again, that transference, because a dragon and a snake, they're both reptilian creatures, right?
It was another misappropriation of, you know, of one of the sacred symbols. You know, they was the Roman Catholic Church and the Roman Empire were very good at taking the symbols and making them their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
mean
that's the masculine feminine serpent. So what you're talking about there is the solar and the lunar, the male and the female, and this is what we all need to do to come into balance with the masculine and feminine, whether we're male or woman, and open up to the twin dragons of the earth energies, the ley lines, the rainbow serpents of the earth, but they're masculine and feminine, and we cross them. You know, our energy system is set up like that. And we have a central channel, and those wings, you know, represent the, you know, the opening of the heart center and the pineal gland at the top of the rod. You know, it's an alchemical symbol of transformation.
oh,
You know, but
beautiful.
you know, the herbal law was originally from the feminine, but, you know, they took it into the chemical side of things.
Right. Yes. I feel like we could talk about this forever. I love it. Shelley, why is it, and Leola perfectly set you up there. We talked about how you know, with past life regressions, part of reclaiming our ancestral line and past lives, some of the ways that you talked about when we were talking of connecting there is to reclaim revering goddesses. Why is it that you think we are being called to connect with our ancestors and to connect with past lives? And why do you feel specifically that we are being called to once again revere the goddess energy?
Yeah, I just loved what everyone else said, by the way. I have to put a shout out to both of you. That was wonderful. Yeah, I've got a forthcoming project coming. It's a book called The Goddess Discovered with over 500 deities in it. And this was something that was created during the pandemic, like a lot of us. My students were very interested in this, and I started asking the question, why are we so drawn at this point in our evolution into our EmpowHERment to be drawn to goddess and deity? And again, it just comes, just referring to Leola about the lengthy time that we've been doing these things. You know, you see different changes in consciousness from 35, 20 years ago to now. And there really is a wide awakening of wanting to understand the deity. I think that I began studying individuals who were going about their business. They were traveling to different locations, and let's say they were, one case study comes to mind. She was in southern rural France, and she saw all the modern buildings fade away just while she was standing there, and she saw how things looked thousands of years ago. And so I began studying people who are having these spontaneous past life recollections where they don't need a past life regression per se. They already know who they were. And so then this regression journey then becomes a healing journey. And I think there's just more and more. Once I started interviewing people, a lot of people are having these spontaneous memories of who they were in the past. And the philosopher Plato talked about this in ancient times. He said, we have an anamnesis, which is a soul knowing. We know who we were. We have that inner calling. Some of us could tell us, some people will say, well, I know I lived in England in a past life or something like that. So there is this knowingness within all of us. I think this also speaks to the goddess. It could be the vibrational frequencies around planet Earth, as we all know, have shifted and changed. We are going through a very, very important time in our evolution of this planet, where we are able to see through the veil. We're able to recall who we were in the past. And I feel like by owning those things, by understanding who we've been in the past in our own soul journey, then it helps us to show up better in the now. And then we have this other whole stream of consciousness, which is the ancestors. And, over the years, and I'm sure Leola can speak to this as well. You always have a lot of people who are saying, look, you're gonna burn in hell for what you're doing. And, I've just heard it all. Let's just put it that way, over the course of many years. And the thing that I found is that regardless of what our spiritual beliefs are in this present moment, the truth is, if we believe in past lives, some of us do, some of us don't, our soul has engaged with deity and goddesses and all of these rituals that were brought up earlier. We've been doing this as a soul for many, many thousands and thousands of years. And then we have the ancestral piece that comes in, where legitimate scientists, this is not just woo-wooing, as someone said earlier, which is one of my favorite terms. Yeah, we've been called woo-woos in the past, but the truth is that the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, the National Institutes of Health, are now publishing papers about the reality of the fact that through the new study that is exploding, the study of epigenetics, we know that your ancestral materials are in your DNA. And that is not just a physical thing now. They know that we inherit trauma. They did a study about the survivors of the Holocaust and their descendants. And those people are more likely to have certain stress hormones elevated in their DNA. And so we really do carry the stresses and the memories of the things that our ancestors did. There's another study that says that up to 50% of your personality, which shocked me, that's 50% of how we're acting out here, is directly brought in from our ancestors. So I've been working in the field of energy healing and human potential. So it's not that we can't overcome the things that we want to correct and make better. But the fact of the matter is that it is in our DNA. And so I feel like when we are healing ourselves using all of the ways that my fabulous co-presenters have talked about today, all of this exploration that we do to try to ask ourselves, who am I? How can I be more worthy beyond just making a living and making a lot of money and all the other things that we explore individually? We're really, if we can, thinking of exploring these things on behalf of our ancestors who have come before us. We're living in a very unique time right now. Our ancestors just 100 years ago, they would never have had the luxury. Even a few years ago, we didn't have Zoom. We would not have the luxury of being able to have these kinds of elevated conversations to look into the deeper issues. We can't look into deeper issues if we're trying to survive and just, prevent ourselves from being killed or something tonight, So we're in a very, very unique time. And so there's many people who feel truly called that they are here to heal themselves, heal their ancestral lineage. And again, the first part of my career really was helping people heal the influences that are brought in from past lives, because sometimes the things that we either love or the things that we're going to run kicking and screaming down the street from, aka the shadow, which was mentioned earlier, those things begin to present themselves in our current life experience. And so it is helpful to go back and look and say, hey, where was my soul along this evolutionary path? And simultaneous now we're being called to, consider the ancestors. And so when I see gatherings like the fabulous gathering that Rose has put together for us today, I mean, this is so important, just to heal ourselves, come to higher understanding, because by showing up a little bit more peaceful and present in our current life, this frequency then vibrationally goes out to future generations. It assists everyone alive right now. And we know the consciousness and the thing that we all want to create, to love our earth, to rectify some of the wrongs that have been done, and to get this planet back on track. We all feel that in our hearts and souls. And so we're moving toward that together. And the more people who awaken to that kind of consciousness, the better. So it's an exciting time, and I'm happy to be here. So that was a lot, I guess, but
beautifully
anyway,
said, and I'm loving the chat today. There's so much engagement. I'm not sure we can get to all of the questions, but it's I always know, because when the chat's really active, it's like there's a truth coming through that's resonating deeply. Even if the prefrontal cortex doesn't quite understand it, there's an inner knowing. You're speaking into an energy that exists within the being that the people are really resonating with. So thank you so much. Jonita, one of the first things that you and I have been circling each other for a while in this world, and I was so excited we finally got together, and I was doing a little bit of research, and one thing that really stuck with me is you said women or feminine beings need to be predominantly in their feminine energy, and masculine beings need to predominantly be in their masculine energy. And if that is not the case, then that's when we experience problems. So why is it that women need to be predominantly in their feminine energy, and what is the problem if they're not?
I don't remember when I said that, but yeah, I can speak to that. I think what I was referring to with the predominant energy, it is mostly considered as, for us in a women's body, this is the energy that is very easily accessible. So the feminine energy, there is this reservoir within ourselves, and that is easily accessible. And this is also one of the reasons when we go overtly masculine, we cannot contain our body's life force energy the way we would like to or want to feel. So it starts with the problem. I think a lot of us women have been feeling that. Growing up, we're told and taught that you have to be a certain way to be heard, seen, and known in this world. So it's something that I don't feel that we don't know. It's just something that we don't need fixing. It's something that we in women's bodies need remembering. And when I feel that we can get to this point that there is nothing to fix, or there is nothing to discover, and there is nothing to heal, but just going into the remembrance of it all, it comes. And I love like how Leola also mentioned that there were remembrance, there were codes being activated. When we do this work, codes get activated, and many things that we discover are beyond what we can find through our logical mind. Most of the times it doesn't even make sense. And this is what my discovery was. And this is the gift that when we go into discovering what is already there inside of our bodies, it becomes like a curious journey of just remembering rather than figuring and fixing. And what I feel is that we are stuck in the rut of like healing. Like there is a lot of emphasis given on healing, and healing is not a 5 steps process, and healing is not an A to B. When you look at an innocent little child, and you feel your heart race, beating higher, it's the moment of healing. Healing is in the moments where our life force energy is activated, and it happens in so many nuances as well. So So that's why for us in women specifically, and I can specifically talk about the woman's body, we are wired differently, we are hormonally different, we are biologically different, psychologically we act different. And when we begin to shift our priorities to look into our energy body, our emotional body, this remembrance becomes easier. So and again, it's not about also balancing this whole idea of how to balance my masculine and feminine, because there is no numbers attached to it. I feel like the whole idea of balance itself is very linear. There's no percentage we can give to predominant, how much predominant feminine energy do we need in our bodies, but it's just available. Our bodies remember through this lifetime, through many lifetimes, through our ancestors, our bodies remember, and it is easy for us women to access these codes, and through us, sweet portals are opening for greater good. So that's probably what I meant when I said the predominant ease of owning that.
Yeah, beautiful. And I love exactly, it perfectly leads into my question for Leola of the activating. It's easy to remember when we're active in our feminine life force energy, which brings me to that Kundalini, that Shakti energy. So Leola, the question is how? This is a question that was in the survey. I kid you not, I got pages and pages and pages and pages. And I had so many people say, how do I connect with my feminine power? And also, how do I surrender to my feminine power? So how do we do that?
There we go. How do we do that? Okay. Well, I'd like to just invite everybody in this moment to lay your hands on your heart, in the center of your chest, on your heart chakra. And just feeling this energy center, this place here, as if it were a doorway that in any moment you can choose to enter. I invite you just to simply enter this place right now and soften into your back body. Just taking some breaths and soften. And start to become aware of your breath, just playing with your breath as you turn your attention inside. And just take a moment to feel the interconnection of everybody that is here right now. We are 60 people on live, and many who are going to be tuning in to this recording. And we're all here as we're all desiring to experience the pure light of our own soul essence. I'm just inviting you to allow your body to soften and to relax into your heart space, and then to enter this vast ocean, this ocean of infinite love, going deeper into the center. As you just make the intention right now to connect to the pure essence of your own soul, of your heart space. Inviting you to breathe in through the nose. And when you breathe out through the mouth, if you feel comfortable, allow an ah sound. The ah is the universal sound of the heart center. Just allow yourself to make a sound. Ah, feel how your arm can vibrate through your chest like a hum. And we're just going to go together. Um, Soften that beautiful back heart, your receptive body. The feminine is deeply receptive. And this is an invitation for all men who are here and present too, because this is an invitation for you to access the depth of the spectrum of your feminine essence, which is your emotional intelligence, which is your intuition, which is your embodied somatic knowing, and just allowing yourself to arrive even more deeply as you bring your awareness down here into your pelvic bowl, allowing your breath now to drop deeper and deeper into your pelvic bowl. So if you can imagine the bones of your pelvis, you can even touch it now, just laying your hands now over the top of your pubic bone, and acknowledging this space. And now place your hands on your right hip bone and take a breath as you scan to visualize the sacrum bone in the back of your body. And now moving around to your left hip bone and trickling all the way around to your pubic bone again. And anchor here in the space in between your pelvis and the bones of your pelvis lies an etheric space. Some call the womb space. We call the Shakti bowl, the pelvic bowl. You can imagine it almost like a glass petri dish. This is the grail. This is the sacred crucible, the holy cup that you can fill with the divine feminine essence. This is where we come to source ourselves in our feminine power. And there's someone who's asking, how do I access my deeper feminine power? This is the connection between the womb and the heart, is where we begin. We begin to open this connection of the womb and heart, and to resource ourselves by opening up to the energies from both the earth and the sun, the galactic center. So I invite you to first root yourself, where a woman can only truly rise, and a man can only really truly rise into his true power, rooted. I invite you to just soften your genitals, soften your lips, and begin to allow your roots to drop down. And we're going to chant Om Ma Gaya. Om Ma Gaya. Feel that frequency, like your body can connect deep, deep down to the central core of the earth, to the womb of the earth, and allow yourself to begin to drink in that energy, that source, that life force. And this is how we get, and we pray to the Mother to light the Shakti fire. Shakti means power. That is our true power. And this is what has been erased. And anyone, as I said before, who was a guide, a Magdalene for initiating and teaching these ways in the past, this has been got demonized and shut down, but I'm here to want you to remember now the way to activate your feminine power is to root yourself into the core and to ask the Divine Mother to humble yourself and to ask. And Mother, Shakti Ma, you who are known by many names in many traditions, light, the eternal flame of feminine power of Shakti. Breathe that energy in. Just take a few breaths to light that flame up in whatever way feels right for you. And feel it. So when I do this now, it's instant, ecstatic, luminous life pulse, opening up the womb. Beautiful. Now take a few breaths to the heart. Open the flame of eternal love and the essence, the pure essence of love in the heart. And when your erotic power is connected to the luminous power of loving love, and then again up into your third eye, into your higher brain center, up into your pineal gland, the center of your brain. Take a sniff into there as your brain, as your eyes are closed. You don't need to be looking at the screen or anything. Just sensing these places in yourself. And bring a breath into that and pray to the Mother. Light me up. Light me up. And in this, you activate the central channel. Breathe in through the central channel and through this. You activate your connection to your pure divine feminine power source. And this is not to miss opening to the light of the sun and the masculine, where an empowered feminine is balanced in her masculine and her feminine. And this is a huge topic. We would go massively, and I know it's already time, so I will complete. But there is many qualities of that Shakti power. There's many, many different subtleties. She's soft, she's fluid, she's fiery, she's dynamic, you know. And all those goddess deities are different aspects of that feminine power. And part of initiating back into the embodiment of true feminine power is to know all those aspects. So yes.
Beautiful.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you for leading us into an experience. I love when these sessions are not just filling the mind, but also giving an embodied experience that people can actually integrate and take into their lives for a shift. So thank you so much. I get to transition into the inner circle if anyone wants to join that. Hopefully the link will be dropped into the chat. You'll be able to join right away. For each expert here, they are generously giving resources so that you can take this wisdom and explore it. I see so many questions in the chat. Okay, how do I do more of this? So as succinctly as you can, Shelley, what is your free gift and why should people grab that? Oh, I think you're muted, love. There you go.
was so mesmerized. I'm sorry, I'm back now from that amazing journey. Thank you. I'm giving you something called Creating the Life That You Want. It's based on a book that I wrote. It's an online class. It helps you get into your values, like where do you want to put your energy right now? And hopefully it will be very empowering for this group.
You had lots of questions in the chat, so that will be a great next step for people with those questions. Thank you. Jonita, what is your free gift you're resourcing our audience with?
So I am sharing something called Sensualize Your Womb. And it's a 7 days journey with 7 simple womb rituals to connect to this part of our feminine center through daily simple variety of different practices using your senses. And I think it's a very beautiful spot to begin accessing this feminine wisdom within us.
Thank you so much. And Leola, thank you for so much for giving us an experience right there. I love that. And what is your free gift? Why should people grab it?
I'm offering a free online course called The Rose Code Mysteries. It's an ecstatic womb activation. So yeah, going a little deeper. And then, once you join that, you'll get access to my mailing list, and you'll receive information about any of the current initiations or teachings that I'm giving.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And to our audience, how amazing was this panel today? How do you feel shifted? Even I feel shifted right now. So please thank our experts for showing up for you, giving of their time, giving of their expertise, giving of their free resources. Please take those free gifts and do them, right? And to all of our experts, thank you so much for being here in this space. Thank you for being your presence. You are not alone in this. And I love this softening into the remembrance and accessing the wisdom of our ancestors and of our divine feminine energy. I'll just leave each expert to give their final words. Shelley, your final words.
Thank you so much, Rose. And thank you all for being here. It's been absolutely beautiful to be with you and to share this time. Someone did ask a question I saw about sending light. How do we do that? How do we heal our ancestors? We can just simply send love and light. And that is what I am sending to all of you today. Blessings, blessings, blessings. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Shelley. Jonita.
Yeah, the session was so energizing. Thank you for holding space for us, Leola. And thank you for everyone watching. Thank you, Rose, for also creating this beautiful community. What is just really coming out from my heart in this moment is to honor ourselves for the journey that we have been, and really claiming that I am exactly where I'm meant to be right now. And we will be shown and supported in ways we do not even know. But right now, in this moment, everything is perfect and divine.
Ah, beautiful. Thank you so much. And Leola, your final words.
Yeah, I really want to echo what Jonita just said. Just really, I feel that sometimes when we're on a spiritual journey, we can get very fixated on improvement, and it really does keep us from just really embracing and opening into where we are. So just want to take a moment to just simply rest into the welcoming and the embracing of whatever is here right now. That's perfect. Thank you. And thank you, everybody. And I truly do pray for all of our souls that they fully embody here.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for showing up for yourselves today. Thank you again to our speakers. I'll be excited to jump on over to the inner circle, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I'm really excited about tomorrow's guest as well, so keep a lookout in your email. Thank you for taking the time for yourselves, because when you are empowered into your divine feminine energy, it really does make a difference for our Mother Earth. So thank you, and sending everyone so much love. Bye, everybody.
Bye.